And for the local weather, it is predicted to be mainly cloudy with some occasional showers from tomorrow through Thursday, while Friday until Sunday are expected to be mainly fine with some cloudy periods. Local temperature throughout this coming week will range from 21 to 29 degrees Celsius. For more information about the weather in Macau, visit www.smg.gov.mo. That is all for tonight's news, and it is now time for our KT News Macau special interview with the topic of, have you ever met anyone with totally unnecessary rudeness? And joining us today in the studio for tonight's KT News Macau special interview are Juliana and Michelle. Hello, Juliana and Michelle.
Hello.
If you can just talk to your mic, would be great. The reason why we're having this topic today is I'm noticing, and I think you too as well, that there is a rise in rudeness, an increase in rudeness in society, in public in Macau, okay? Whether they're coming from the local people or foreigners, or local foreigners like myself, being foreigner but holding a Macau permanent resident ID card as well. So there's just a bunch of people in Macau that I think, before we don't see this type of attitude in Macau. It's me, okay? So that's the reason why I'm inviting you, Juliana and Michelle, today, because I would love to hear your experience, because I know that you guys, you both have encountered some certain situations regarding this as well, okay? So once again, everybody out there, we're talking about, have you ever met anyone with a totally unnecessary rudeness? I'm saying unnecessary because, I think, you could have changed that attitude into something more positive, so to say, okay? Now, let me just give a little bit more background about Juliana and Michelle. Juliana is a local. You're a local, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and you're a professional working in the local gaming industry, okay? And Michelle is a professional from the Philippines working in hospitality industry. Both have expertise in their own world. One in gaming, one in hospitality, okay? We will not be talking about where you're working because we want to cover this as general as it can be, okay? Someone coming from the gaming industry and someone coming from the hospitality industry. So let me just go straight to the angles that we're going to be talking about, okay? I'm going to just be pointing at, each of you to just give your thoughts to us today, okay? That sounds okay, right?
Yeah.
That's quite relaxed.
Oh, yes.
No pressure. Okay. All right. Let me just start with you, Juliana. Okay. So tell us your story of meeting such people who have unnecessary rudeness.
Oh, that was interesting. About a month ago or 2 weeks ago, I was visiting my friend at one of the more upscale residences in Taipa. So I think it was my first or second time going there to visit my friend, and I didn't know that I have to register to go up, because when I go back to my home, which is also a more upscale residence, I just
and in Taipa as well.
In Palawan.
Okay.
So the security card happened to not be there at his space at the time, his station at the time. So I just ran into the elevator with a blonde lady with a very lovely, cute poodle. So when I got in there, they didn't punch the card to go up to the courtyard floor. So, and then she looked at me and was like, "You don't have your card?" And I said, "Well,
Wait, this blonde lady, she's like a local or foreigner or?
I'm quite sure it's a foreigner."
Okay, all right.
So that was.
You're saying foreigner as in her look. She's a foreign.
Her look.
Yeah, background, right? Yes, because she might be holding a Macau resident ID card as well.
It could be.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Anyway, so she was speaking in English to you.
Yes,
okay.
she was, and I was replying to her in English too. And so it was me and her, and then one more Asian lady who lived there. I'm quite sure. So I was told her, well, I'm visiting my friend, so I don't have my card. And she was like, "You don't belong here." It's like, what? I'm sorry. And I was like, I didn't know I have to get something. And she was like, "You don't belong here. You shouldn't be here. You need to go out, blah, blah." But the elevator was already going up to the courtyard floor, and that's where you switch into different elevators.
That's right. Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. But anyway, move on.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, well, I'm already here. I don't have the car. And she was like, and when we got to the courtyard floor, she was like, Oh, wait. She was looking to the other lady and was saying, she doesn't have her car. She shouldn't be here. She doesn't belong here. Blah,
What did
blah.
the other lady say?
The other lady didn't say anything, actually. She just looked at me like,
Because it's just normal.
awkward.
Like, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And then she didn't say anything. But then I couldn't go out anymore because we were already going up the floor. And I was actually wearing properly. I was properly dressed. I was after work. And maybe a little smeared makeup, but nothing like to make her think that I'm a terrorist or something. And then when the door opened to the courtyard floor, she almost didn't allow me to get out. And when she was walking out, she was still saying, pointing at me like, you don't belong here. One more time. She had to say it. I was like, and I couldn't bite my lips anymore. I was saying, well, that's kind of a harsh statement to make. Right?
It was, yeah, it was rude.
That's a little too much.
That was uncalled for. Anyway,
very uncalled for and very unnecessary. And then she was like, well, you don't have your car, so you don't belong here. And then she just walked out. I was like, oh my god. So I just went back to the ground floor to get my visitor pass, and then went up. And I didn't understand why such a
like a big deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
such a big deal. Can't you be nicer?
I mean, she could have just said it like in a nice way, you know. I mean, actually, if I were her, I would have probably tried to help rather than having such attitude, you know. Like, I mean, okay, so you're visiting your friend. Well, actually, you're supposed to get a card downstairs. So, do you need to go down again? I can help you with my, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Rather than, you know.
In your face.
I would have to say, however, I agree. Like a couple of residences, they need you to have this pass card, right?
Which is understandable.
Yeah, understandable. So I understand, like, she was trying to say that you need to have that pass card. I mean, she's probably a type that gets scared, you know, easier or whatever, you know. But anyway, there's gotta be a better way of expressing, you know, your concern regarding a stranger getting up to your building. There's gotta be a better way. And after all, we are in Macau. We're not in a third world country.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we are in Macau. Not to mention, we are in Taiwan. You know, as you said, it's one of the upscale buildings, you know. So, but you know, you reacted quite well, you know. But we're gonna get back to that again. But I want to hear about your experience now. Since Michelle, you are working in hospitality industry, so you deal a lot with customers then,
Yes, that's right.
So I'm guessing that would be one of your experiences.
There's a lot. There's a lot of
pick your best one. Pick your best one of have you ever met anyone with uncalled rudeness?
Okay, so there's this experience that I will not forget. He's a foreigner local.
So it's like someone like me,
Yes.
a foreigner yet a local resident. Okay.
He's our regular customer, and then one morning he asked his regular order. After serving him, and he was about to finish, and I said, oh, please don't go yet, you haven't paid yet. And I did not notice that he already paid by just throwing his money, and it flew on the floor, and I did not see it. And he was like, I already paid. I said, I'm sorry, I did not see your money. And he was like, you are stupid and all, and so many bad words. And then I was shocked because I have this how do you call this one, good relationship with him. Every morning I always greet him with a good smile.
Let me stop there first. So usually you had good relationship with that person.
Yeah.
So that was only the first time he ever had such attitude. Okay, can you move on?
And I was shocked because I did not expect that kind of attitude. And I just said I'm sorry because I didn't see, and he did not stop. He said, I'm not going back here anymore, blah blah blah, and so on.
Was it true though? So he never came back?
Well, it turns out that he came back again. Like nothing happened.
And he was nice to you again?
And he was nice to me again. And then after being nice, another thing happened. He complained about another staff.
Not to you this time?
Not to me this time, but he complained with another staff that he doesn't like being served with someone, a guy who has nail polish.
Okay. And so, but like in your case though, I mean, because you did mention that usually he's fine with you and with everybody else. So it sounds to me that he's the type of customer that just maybe I don't know, has some anger management issues, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe so he's probably generally nice. He's probably generally not rude, but probably he's someone who cannot control when he's angry or something. And probably I realized though, like this stuff that you mentioned, it's actually a little thing, you know. So especially coming from someone who is usually nice. So I don't know, maybe something happened in his day that day, you know, with his own personal life maybe, or with work issues, you know.
I also noticed that when maybe he did not sleep well, or
yeah.
some problems at work,
Yeah.
or other issues.
Yeah.
And when he's having a bad day.
Yeah. But so did you have a chance to talk about it with him? I mean, considering that you said you're having good relationship with him usually, so did you actually talk about it with him, like, sir, like, you know, well, I mean, that was quite harsh for you to say that I'm stupid, you know?
Yes, actually, yes.
You did?
And I told him, I thought you're not coming back here anymore.
Oh, and then what did he say?
Was I rude to you last time? I'm so sorry.
He said that?
Just like this.
Okay, all right.
And I forgot about what happened last time.
Yeah.
So I just let it go.
Yeah, you should. I think that's a little bit different. I'm not saying that it's okay to do it like that, but with some people, sometimes they do things they don't mean, and it's just getting out of control. And because we can tell that when he came back again, he apologized to you actually, you know. So that's actually quite a nice gesture, you know. But for this lady that you mentioned, it's just totally, you know, out of nowhere, and it's totally unnecessary.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but you know what? This is something that I'm seeing is rising in Macau, you know, because you may not know this, is Michelle, but because for me and Juliana, we've been in Macau for quite a long time. I mean, Juliana obviously is a local, so it's not just a long time, but it's all your life basically. minus the years that you went out overseas, you know. So but as for me, it's the same thing basically, you know. I've been here like for several decades already, you know. Family's been here for 5 generations, so I've just been nomad. So I've seen how Macau was back then, you know, even though probably not as much as you have seen, Juliana. But yeah, this is rising, this is increasing, this level of rudeness, whether it is on purpose or accidentally, like this, you know. It's increasing. I don't know. I mean, my question is, do you think this is becoming a common problem in Macau nowadays, Juliana?
You know what's interesting? I never really thought about it until that happened. I mean, being alienated in my own home.
Yeah, true.
Not really doing anything. I was like, oh my god, I was appalled. And that's got me thinking, like, have I or have my other friends, local friends, ever done something or done something to other people that maybe we didn't think of, or maybe sometimes we may say things that are more stereotyped than we thought. Maybe perhaps we have. We try to treat people with respect all the time because that's what we believe in too, and that's more civilized. And I don't think we've really meant to cause anything like that to anyone, but that got me thinking, and then I started to notice much more around me. And I started talking to, because where I live, there's a really nice bar. So I go there quite often with my friends after work hours. And there are 3 Filipinos who work there, and we hang around, we talk, joke about everything. And we're very friendly with each other. And then one day, I was talking about this. They saw that on my Instagram because I have them too. And then they told me, you know what, actually, those things happen more than you think, but you don't probably realize it because you're local. You don't
That's true.
get faced with it all the time. I was like, really? Like, they're like, even here at this bar, like, do you think that people talk to us like you guys do all the time? They don't. They just order us, do this, do that, and be rude at times, especially when they're drunk. and there are many things that happen when we don't notice. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I just started to look more, and I start to see that either from locals or even local foreigners. I just see that more. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure that it's happening more, or if it's just because I haven't noticed.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe it's always been here, but I do think that people were more friendly.
I think the same way too. I think back in those days people were more friendly. But then again, maybe because they were not, you know, I mean, the society back then was more, how do you say, it's more monogamous. You know, I mean, it's pretty much like, I mean, being a Chinese Indonesian, me and is Pat Johnson here? Pat Johnson here, right? Yeah. I mean, we are, like, I mean, yes, we are Chinese Indonesian, but we have always been treated as Chinese as well here in Macau, right? We're just called Yane Wakyu, you know. So, but that's the only thing. My family has never, you know, gone through any experience like you've just mentioned in regards to your Filipino friends, you know. So I mean, but having said that, doesn't mean that this is not taking place in Macau, you know. Of course it's taking place since before, I'm pretty sure, but as your friends mentioned, maybe we just haven't experienced this too much because we're pretty much seen as locals. Which is why I'm inviting Michelle tonight, because you are, although working as a professional in hospitality industry, yet you are exactly like your friends just now. You're a migrant worker here. So have you ever felt like, I mean, apart from this story that you just shared to us, have you ever felt you're being treated differently by us? I'm gonna just put it straightforward. Have you ever felt that way, like you being treated differently maybe by the things that we say, you know, local people, you know, whether it's local foreigner or locals, you know, have you ever felt that way? Yes.
Many times.
Can you elaborate a little bit further, like what makes you feel that way?
One experience while at the store, going inside an expensive store, for example buying the perfume, and then they will look at you from head to toe, and they will not attend to you unless you will ask them.
It's like they were lazy to serve you by looking at you, judging by the book, and they think that, oh, you must be migrant workers, so you must be earning a little bit, you know, and so you can't afford this, something like that.
True.
Now that you mentioned that, I remember now. It happened to my mom before, actually. It did happen. Not in Macau, though, in Hong Kong. Okay, in Hong Kong, I remember. Because she just gave birth, so she just, you know, didn't care much about how she looked, you know. So I remember she told us a story that she walked into a nice store like you did, and she wanted to buy a very expensive thing, right? And so she asked for that, you know, person there to take that one, and then that person actually told her off, saying that excuse me ma'am, well, at least she did call her ma'am, but she said, excuse me ma'am, I don't think you can afford that, so maybe I can give you another line.
Oh my god.
And my mum just went ballistic, and at that time my mum, looking really scruffy, looking really bad, obviously, as I just described to you, she took out her wallet and she just took out a bunch of like Hong Kong dollars, and she like, you know, I can slap you with this.
Good job.
And then she just said, you know what, you just lost your income, and she just took the money back in again and she left. And she would never go back to that shop again, you know. So that did happen, actually. So actually then, now I realize, maybe we just haven't experienced that. So it has been happening since before, actually. Now my next question is this then. Do you think it's really race related? Because you're a foreigner, you're a Filipino, so they look down on you. Because my mom was an Indonesian, looking like typical Indonesian, you know, although Chinese, you know. Do you think that this unnecessary rudeness happening around, really, is it because race related, or is it because work related, the stress level getting more in Macau? I mean, before Macau was a fishing village, basically, you know, so everybody was nice because everyone's like in a village, you know, but now, as you can see, Macau is one of you know, the best cities to live in the world, you know. Everything is about money, everything is about work, everything is about, you know, a profession and career and everything, and Macau has turned into this. So do you think that all this unnecessary rudeness, all these things, they're all because race related, as we have listened tonight, or is it because maybe a stress level at work? You know, I don't know. Like, what do you think?
For me, I think it has, to a certain extent, it would have to have a linkage to that.
To which one?
To race.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also sometimes stress related, but I think that's an excuse. You don't have to be a horrible person just because you're stressed.
Well said.
I'm stressed all the time, but I don't
That's
go
true.
and yell at people.
That's true. Well
Right?
said,
So
yeah.
I think, to my case, to what happened to me and for you, Michelle, I think that had to be.
Yeah.
It had to have something to do with that. She was very appalled when I talked to her in English, finally, to say that she had a very harsh statement. She was startled, as if she didn't think that I would be able to answer her in English.
That's right.
With
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
So that was an indication to me that that was more race related. And then I've also heard from other friends who live there who say that this particular lady, it didn't take too much description for me to talk about the story for my friends to know who that was.
Yeah, yeah.
So they've said that she's constantly.
So your friend actually knows her?
A few friends who live there actually know who that was.
Really?
And they're like, oh, is it like this, like that?
And they know that she is like that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I was
She's
like, okay, so
very
you guys-
infamous.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, so you guys have encountered something? And they were like, yeah. If not, it's someone else who did. And then
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think that's kind of a trait of this person. It's sad because I think Macau has been a very welcoming city
Yes, it
to
has.
everyone. It's become more than just a melting pot.
Of course, yeah.
Centuries of East West.
I mean, I've been
happening.
grateful to be adopted by this city, you know, my whole family, 5 generations, you know, so I'm very grateful, you know, but yeah. What about you, Michelle, what do you think? Like, is it race related always, or sometimes it's probably because of work?
Varies in every situation. It can be race related or stress related, or even personality traits, and also from their upbringing, because it also affects how they treat other people.
That's
or maybe
true.
they how do you call this one, what you said, Papato, the anger
Management. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got issues with anger management, yeah.
yes.
Or like you said also, they're just simply rude. Basically, they're rude to everybody, right? Like this lady that you mentioned. I mean, obviously she's very infamous. Everybody knows her for being rude. I don't want to be known as somebody who's rude, you know. I'm rude sometimes. I know that, you know. I mean, even in the radio, you know, sometimes I'm rude, yeah. But I don't want to be known as somebody that's rude, you know, because we've said things, you know, that we don't mean to sometimes, you know, that's fairly normal. We all do that, you know. But to be a person that is just so rude and many times unnecessary, it's just not nice, you know. So and I believe that's affecting society, you know.
It does.
Let me just throw that to you first, Michelle. Do you think such attitudes impact, you know, society that we live in?
Well, it does for me, because that experience also affected me the whole day, because I was thinking about it the whole day, how could I respond in a right and respectful manner as well. And that rudeness is a stressor. It affects the well-being and our health, because it is emotionally upsetting.
That's true.
So what he said to me was emotionally upsetting. I was upset the whole day because I didn't do anything bad to him. I was always good, and why he needs to treat me that way. And I think if only people will just respect and understand each other, I think it will.
That would be a better world, right?
Yes.
Or a better Macau during lockdown right now, right? Well, it's true, because like this is how I see it. In other words, what you just explained is this: that man being in a bad mood, making you bad mood, and then you would probably throw a tantrum at your friends or at your family.
Other customers.
Yeah. Or other customers, that's worse.
Also.
Oh my! Please
Sometimes
remind me. When you have bad mood like that, tell me so I wouldn't go to where you work, okay?
Michael.
It's true. What do you think then, Juliana?
To me, I feel like, because what happened to me, it was at the same time when the whole Stop Asian Hate, Black Lives Matter, everything was happening around the world. It felt a little distant to me at the time. It's like, oh, something happening in where I used to live in, different global cities elsewhere. It didn't feel so close to home until that happened. And then I started thinking, well, maybe there's something else we need to look at. And like I said, it made me reflect, like if there's something I have done as a local to other people too. And it was interesting because I was talking to someone else who's from another country. And then he was saying in general, he doesn't think that it's what's the word? It's appropriate for him to date local women, Chinese women, because he's from another country and we're at different levels. Like, really?
As in how? Like, I mean,
Like,
he's higher than you, or
the other way around.
oh, so
Because
he
feels
reckon that
lesser.
you're higher, more superior than okay.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's very complicated. Like, why does that have to be factored in whether you date someone or not? I thought that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But then it also made me think, oh, so what have he encountered in Macau that made him think that way?
Yeah.
Like, if we try to flip the table.
That's right.
What the hell has he been through to make him think that? And he was pretty adamant about it, so I think he must have had gone through
Some
something,
experience, yeah.
which
That is so bad.
I didn't really ask. I didn't
Of course,
feel like
of
I should
course.
inflict
Yeah.
on
yeah.
anything else. So.
Of course, totally understand. Well, but you know, I mean, the truth is, this thing is really unnecessary for Macau. I have to say, you know, I mean, all these things that you mentioned, even Black Lives Matter and everything, you know, I mean, I have respect over these movements, you know, and of course, as a journalist, I have to remain neutral with this. But the funny thing is, though, I just have to mention that. That's pretty much happening in Western countries, okay? The hate Asian and stuff like that. And the funny thing is we are in Asia, so I think you need to give some respect to the people in this region. If you are not from Asia and you happen to be in Asia. Having said that, I'm not saying that we should feel superior, okay? Because, as you said, what this male friend of yours went through, I can only imagine it's not nice to make him feel that way about the local people being superior, you know. So no, it has to be balanced, you know.
We're all equal.
Yeah, we're all equal, and especially this is Macau, okay. So I'm not speaking on behalf of other place, but I'm speaking on behalf of my family who have been adopted by this city, and I have been very grateful for 5 generations. Not just the government, but the people around us, neighbors and old friends, family friends, you know. And if they are listening to me right now, they know, you know. Yes, of course there's got to be some difference in treating someone like me who don't really speak Cantonese, you know. I mean, I speak a little bit, but knowing that you can speak English very well, I prefer to speak in English, you know. So you know that I'm not local, you know. Nevertheless, though, I mean, I feel accepted, you know. I feel,
good.
yeah. I mean, we've known each other for quite a while already, right?
A decade.
Yeah. So I felt that, you know, so far so good, you know. So I don't want this ruined, you know. Segregation will always be there in any society. That's normal. That's because of the culture, you know, different culture, you know. It's just hard to force people to be in the same community, you know, when they have different backgrounds, different whatsoever, you know. But as you said, it's just an excuse when you're not being nice to people just because of the differences that you have. You know, I've come from a melting pot family, different religions, some cousins, some Muslims, some cousins, my brother is fasting right now in Bali, okay? She is observing this month of Ramadan, okay? And my aunties and my uncles just celebrated the day of silence in Bali because they're Hindu, you know. I'm Christian. I've got many Catholic family members and Buddhists, obviously, because I'm Chinese as well, you know. But it's been great in my family, you know. I mean, I've pretty much grown up with all this diverse culture and differences, you know. But as you said, if we can just be nice, Michelle, with one another, it would make a better family. And it did make a better family in my family. And so if we could be nice with one another, I'm not asking for the world. Let's just leave the world. I mean, we're during the pandemic anyway. We're pretty much all stuck in Macau, okay? We can just be nice with one another in Macau. I think it would make a better Macau. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, so anyway, that was my message to everybody in Macau. I'm going to give you your last comment, a message of peace from you two for the people in Macau regarding this unnecessary rudeness. Okay, starting with you, Juliana.
Okay, I think, like what Michelle said, I think it's just a matter of being respectful to people around you, people you don't know even, just anyone you come across, because you never know what's happening in their lives. You don't know their story behind. We're not better than anyone else. We could be happier than anyone else, but that doesn't happen if we're rude to each other. So I think that's important, especially in a small space like Macau, a small community, that there's really no need to be rude, regardless of the reason.
Agree. Thank you, Juliana. And Michelle, your turn?
From like what Juliana said, it's good to respect one another, and when you experience some rudeness, just understand them, and if you cannot control them, you can control what you can respond to them. So just be understanding and don't take it personally.
That's very important, actually, yeah. Because you know what? If you become disgruntled and you become bitter, it's eating you, actually. So let them be rude. That's okay. We're not gonna follow. We're not gonna follow that attitude.
And one more thing.
Yes.
Kill them with kindness.
Oh, that's a good one. Kill it with kindness. And to also stress out about the fact that we should be nice to one another, let's pay it forward. When someone has been nice to you, let's pay that forward. Be nice to other people around you as well. Okay? Well, Juliana and Michelle, thank you very much for joining us tonight in this very special interview tonight. I'm hoping to see you guys again sometimes in the future. Okay? And for all of you guys out there, I'm going to play this last song in this non-Indonesian segment, a song by Casey Donovan, an Australian singer, with a song called Listen With Your Heart. Still with Kumbang Channel. Kumbang Kumpul Bareng Yo. Well done.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Well, Michelle, well done. Ate Elsa, thank you for being an assistant.
And manager.
Oh, manager. That's right.
Manager.